Okay, let's dive into this. Welcome to today's Explainer, where we're undertaking a really fascinating piece of digital forensics. We are going to look incredibly closely at exactly what happens to a web page's architecture when its core content is just abruptly erased. Honestly, think of it like exploring a modern digital ruin. We encounter these pages all the time on the internet. A dead link, a removed video, a broken embed, but we rarely stop to examine the digital scaffolding that's left behind in the wreckage. So, what actually happens to the machine when the ghost is evicted? Well, that's exactly what we're going to find out. The official cause of death for this specific digital space is stated pretty simply and clearly by the platform. This video has been removed for violating YouTube's policy on nudity or sexual content. Now, we absolutely aren't here today to debate the nuances of that policy itself. Instead, we're going to objectively analyze the structural aftermath of this enforcement. Because when a moderator or, an automated algorithm pulls the plug based on this rule, a massive, sudden void is created right in the dead center of the user experience.
Section 1. The anatomy of erasure. So a modern web page is obviously so much more than just the video it hosts. It's this highly complex, interconnected ecosystem of code, user interface elements, and commerce tools. When the primary media, literally the very heart of the page, vanishes, that surrounding digital scaffolding doesn't just neatly pack up and leave with it. Instead, it reacts, it contorts, and we see this totally surreal contrast emerge. On one hand, you have a perfectly functioning user interface. The platform is still eagerly offering you tools. You can search with your voice, you can sign in. It's even cheerfully prompting you with shopping and info options. That commercial machinery, it is firing on all cylinders. But then, on the other hand, the broken UI reveals the trauma of the missing content. The video timer reads a stagnant 00/00. The system starts spitting out mathematical impossibilities like NaN on non. And instead of providing video data, it returns these defensive little messages like, an error occurred. It's an interface completely at war with itself, half alive and half totally shattered.
Section 2. The Policy Violation Notice. Let's actually take a moment to examine the incredibly specific, almost clinical language the platform uses to justify this massive void it just created. The platform doesn't panic, right? It doesn't apologize for the broken interface. It just replaces the vibrant media that used to be there with a stark administrative death certificate. And right next to that removal notice, we find this polite blue hyperlink that simply says, "Learn more." It's literally a clinical hyperlink to the void. The platform recognizes it has just created a totally dead-end user experience, and instead of leaving you stranded, it offers this tiny escape hatch. But where does it actually lead? Not to a resolution for sure. It leads straight into a maze of static policy documentation. It's essentially the platform's way of cleanly tying off a severed artery, smoothly redirecting your attention away from the absence of the video and toward the completely sterile, bureaucratic realm of terms and conditions. Section 3. Ghost Features and Artifacts. Now, what's really interesting about this is the paradox it creates. Ponder this with me. Why do features like 2x playback speed, or prompts instructing you to tap to unmute, or even a copy link button, remain perfectly functional when the video itself is entirely gone? It's honestly like finding a steering wheel hovering in midair right where a car used to be. The interface is just totally unaware that its core reason for existing has been wiped out. You can literally instruct the page to play a non-existent video at double speed, and the UI will absolutely let you click that button. The page is practically begging you to take normal, expected actions. It's asking you to share, to watch later, to hit play. But the exact second you engage with these surviving elements, the system response just hits a brick wall. You get things like, an error occurred while retrieving sharing information, or your browser can't play this video. It even offers the deeply ironic and entirely unhelpful suggestion to try restarting your device if playback doesn't begin, which is hilarious because restarting your device isn't going to help. The file has been legislated out of existence by a content moderator, not dropped by a bad Wi-Fi connection. Section 4. System Errors and Breakdown. So, the crucial point is that this isn't just a quirky visual glitch we're looking at, it's profound technical decay happening in real time. We're watching the page's underlying code desperately try to parse data that has been intentionally scrubbed from the platform's servers. Let's look at NaN. It stands for not a number. In computing, this is an error representing an undefined or unrepresentable value, and it pops up when a system attempts impossible math on missing data. And this brilliantly illustrates how the system's logic literally breaks down at the foundation. See, the video player is constantly trying to calculate where it is in the video stream by dividing the current timestamp by the total duration. But when a moderator zeroes out that media file, that math essentially becomes division by zero. The system's brain just freezes, its logic loops fail, and it spits this desperate string of letters onto your screen.
N-A-N. And that brings us to what I like to call the frozen clocks. 00/00 sitting right alongside our new friend NAN/NAN. There is this strange, almost accidental visual poetry to these frozen timestamps that are now permanently etched onto the interface. They represent a digital timeline that can never, ever advance. It's literally a clock ticking down a void. The media player is fully loaded and ready, the user interface is watching and waiting, but time has fundamentally stopped for the specific URL.
Section 5. The surviving interface. Let's see how this builds into our overall analysis of the platform's architecture. Because despite all these broken clocks, the system errors, and the mathematical impossibilities we just looked at, a surprising amount of the navigational shells simply refuses to die. Even with the core content completely gone and the player mathematically broken, the surrounding architecture continues its relentless automated demands on your attention. It's asking if you want to watch live. It urges you to watch full video, to show more, or include playlist. It even offers a helpful little utility button to skip navigation entirely. These final surviving prompts are a massive testament to the unyielding nature of the platform's overall design. It is urging you forward, forever demanding your engagement, even within a space that has been entirely hollowed out by policy enforcement. The machine simply does not know how to stop selling, even when the store is completely empty.
We'll wrap up our explainer today with a pretty critical question. What does it mean when the digital framework outlives the content it was built to hold? It really forces us to step back and reflect on the immense permanence of platform architecture versus the extreme fragility of the digital content we actually create and consume. The videos, the art, the personal expressions, they can vanish in a single keystroke from a moderation team. But the shopping links, the sign-in buttons, the empty, broken media frames, those remain forever. It's definitely a lot to think about the next time you hit a dead link on the web. Thank you so much for joining me on this digital excavation, and I hope this gives you a completely new perspective on the invisible digital structures we interact with every single day.